And we are live. Thank you so much for tuning in to our Startup with Fairs live stream. My goal today is to equip you with the tools you need to generate leads. And if you're already getting leads, I want to make sure you get more leads, you get more qualified leads, and as importantly, get bigger leads so you can be more profitable. And we'll do that through going some known concept, tried and tested concepts in business. We'll cover topics like the marketing funnels. We'll go over the applications and how you can set up your own marketing funnel. We'll also go over the concept of target audience. Some of you might have heard it. What's an audience? How do I target it? And also, how do you differentiate? Even if you're a new business owner, you're a small business owner, how do you differentiate between sales and marketing and the different steps you take in marketing than in sales? So this is for today's live stream. We have these live streams every week, every Wednesday at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern. And we'll cover part 2 of getting leads and the marketing funnels next week. We'll be talking more about lead capture, about content creation, and how to nurture these leads. And before we go into the details of today's topics, a couple of housekeeping items. One, if you submitted a question through our form, we still have that form in the description. It's a Google form. Just go ahead and submit it. We'll take those as they come in, or you can leave us a comment on whichever platform you're on, whether it's LinkedIn or YouTube or on Facebook or Twitter. And also, for those of you watching or listening now, or watching or listening in the later after the live stream, I'd love to hear from you. Leave me a comment with either small or big wins you're having, challenges. You can go to our website and submit an Ask Fairs form. I schedule 30 minutes with you to go over things that are specific to the challenges you're going through. Again, it's free, no strings attached. We're not selling any services. I'm here to help out. So, funnels, marketing funnels. This is the topic for today. Now, if you go on Google and search marketing funnels or go on ChatGPT, you're going to see a whole lot of results. You'll see things around sales funnel and a marketing funnel. You'll see different stages. Some funnels have 3 steps, some have 4 steps, 5 steps. You'll see the AIDA funnel, the acquisition or awareness, interest, demand, and then acquisition. You'll see things like tofu, mofu, bofu. I'm not kidding. Top of the funnel, middle of the funnel, bottom of the funnel. You'll also see, and I think I have a slide here. Let me put that slide up, where just that Google search, you'll see a lot of funnels. I know you as a business owner, whether you're just about to start or you started and now struggling, or you've been at it for a while and you're just not getting the leads. You're putting a lot of efforts in and you're not getting the leads. So I want to simplify it for you. I don't want to reinvent the wheel. I'm not going to give you some new framework and new ways to do. No, there's a lot of information out there about funnels, and I don't want to confuse you with more information or one more framework. I want to highlight key concepts. I think if we as business owners, if we understand these concepts in business and then how we apply them and then we customize them to our own businesses, I think we'll do well. And also, one thing I want to mention is when you're searching for funnels and how to nurture, how to get leads and how to engage those leads, you'll see something about funnels are an older concept. They're outdated. There's this concept of flywheel. I think HubSpot, they were one of the first folks who introduced that concept. So I really don't want to debate whether it's a funnel approach is better than a flywheel. There are pros and cons to looking at both of these frameworks. And I think in general, in business, few things are linear. There are always things that happen that we did not expect. We might have a very, especially if you're left brain like myself, you think in an orderly fashion, things happen out of order. So I don't want to debate whether it's a funnel or it's a flywheel. What I want you to know is that if we understand the concept that I'll be covering today and apply it to your business, you'll do well. So with that, let's look at the definition of marketing. if you go to Harvard Business School, you go to their website, you see how that's defined. And I'm going to read it as you'll see here on the screen. Marketing helps a firm creating value by better understanding the needs of its customers. So you as a business owner, you as a service provider, you have to be creating value. You have to be adding something worthwhile so that people who have needs, as the definition says, they will come to you to address their needs. So that's one thing. The other thing is provide them with innovative products or services. So we might think of innovation as the next Uber, the next Lyft, the next you have, and the next Amazon, especially those of us in Silicon Valley here. Yes, there's innovation in tech and in a product-oriented startup or a company. But in the services sector, there's also a lot of innovation. And even if you're doing something that is as common, let's say accounting, you love numbers, you're good with customer service, so you started an accounting company, you want to be, and you're a CPA, you can be innovative in different ways. Maybe the way you respond to customers, maybe the way you price your services, maybe the way, for example, I work with a couple of accountants for the businesses that I'm involved in. One of them, they were really ahead of the curve in providing a secure way to upload your documents. I mean, now it's commonplace, everybody does it. But many years ago, they were one of the few ones who, when instead of sending all your personal information, all the tax forms and the tax forms that have all your information, you send it over email. You don't know who has access to these emails, or the emails, or if the emails get hacked. They were innovating as a service provider and providing a secure way for me to share files. So again, when we think about innovation, don't think about it just it's for tech companies or those who are building products. You can be very innovative in your services as well. And then this value, if we go back to the definition, this value that you provide as a service provider is communicated through a variety of channels. So this is when you hear the word channels in marketing, it's the way you're communicating the message. You have a service and you describe it in a certain way, you position it in a certain way, and you want to communicate that message to your audience that has needs that you help address. So these channels is what we will cover, we will discuss today in terms of whether it's you do paid ads or you do billboards or TV ads or what have you. So we'll talk about the channels, but the idea here is that you're building a brand with certain values: responsiveness, quality of service, pricing. You take care of your customers. These are your brand values, and you have something that your customers need, and then you communicate your message the way you package the service to your potential customers through these channels. So we won't spend a lot of time today on the marketing in general and the various aspects of marketing, whether it's branding or inbound marketing or outbound marketing. But I want to focus on the marketing funnel in the sense that if you have a process, if you have a system in your business, even if you're a one-person shop today, you want to build. Unless you really doing this as a side hustle, as a hobby, few hours a week, or maybe a limited sort of solopreneur with not, you don't have plans to expand, maybe you don't need as much process and systems. But if your intention is to build and grow this business, then systems and processes and doing things in a repeatable fashion in marketing and in every other aspect of the business, it's going to help you significantly scale that business. So when we talk about marketing funnels, and again, a little bit about definitions before we go into the examples, and I have a lot of examples for you. A marketing funnel illustrates the buyer journey. So people, when they buy, they don't just come to you and I want to buy your service. They go through they think about it, they evaluate, they look at other things. So the first time they hear about you, the first time your customers hear about your services, that's sort of the beginning of the marketing funnel till they take an action. So it is someone, I would call them a stranger, someone who didn't know that you existed, someone who didn't know that your business existed and the services that you offer are amazing and priced well, and they serve their needs. That person is through the marketing funnel you're moving them to become interested in what you offer. So that's what I want to focus on is we're basically generating interest in you. You're generating interest in you and in your services, and then you're helping the lead take action. So that action again could be they call you, they email you, they subscribe to your newsletter, they follow you on Facebook, on YouTube, whatever the case might be. So let's walk through some examples. And actually, before I go to the example, if let me pull this, there's one slide here that shows actually things we've covered previously, the sales funnel, and then how you actually expand after you have a customer. But initially, what I want to focus on, sort of top of the funnel here, is the universe. So a lot of founders, when I speak with initially, especially if they haven't been in business for a while or they haven't started a business previously, they think they can sell to everyone. Selling to everyone is selling to no one. The universe is not your target audience. So you have to think of who is it going to buy my service. And again, that should be part of your business plan. And if you haven't done any business planning, we do have a playlist on business in the description after the live stream. But the idea is you really want to understand your target audience. So we go from the universe, whether it's something you sell locally or something you sell online throughout let's say the US or Canada or wherever you might be. So we go from the universe to the target audience. And I'll talk about the target audience in a bit. But that's really the core of concept behind the marketing funnel, is to go from, instead of targeting everyone, I want to target people who are interested in what I offer, and then I want to get them to take that one action. So let me walk you through a few examples. Let's say you are you provide tutoring services, and let's say you have in a previous life you have gone to maybe law school and you're an attorney, and now on your second mountain, now you're established and the kids are now in college, and now you want to do something different. So you want to take the 20 plus years of experience you've had and build a tutoring services company, helping people pass and score really well on the LSAT. So this is the exam here in the US for people who want to go to law school that they have to pass and score on. So, and let's say you want to target those who want to go to tier 1 schools. So they have to score, I forgot probably have to be in the 270 or so range on the LSAT, if I remember correctly, on the score. So if this is your business, then the entire student population is not your target audience. Those interested in going to law school, that's the segment that applies to you, or that's the segment you want to target. Potentially people who also haven't thought about going to law school. Maybe you can have some very, very high level information about going to law school. So you can maybe create interest in those who are not haven't thought about going to law school. But the direct audience that you want to market to are those students who are pre-law, they want to go to law school. So maybe those in the political science field or whatever the case might be. Maybe they're in technology because they want to work on IP, intellectual property. So the marketing funnel for a business like that would be to understand, again, the target audience. Maybe you start in the local universities around your area, and then you find ways to communicate with them. And maybe because you can't relate to that audience because they're 25 years younger than you are, maybe you speak with a few of them, and maybe you'll learn that they listen to this hip radio station. If listening to a radio station is still a thing. And then you put an ad, you place an ad on that radio station. That's where your audience is. That's the music they listen to. So that would be a very simple marketing funnel. You know your audience, in this case, college students in your region, and those maybe in political science or maybe in technology. And then you place an ad in a channel. The radio is one of the channels, so that you can generate that interest. Okay, and then you can look at, let's say you have a landing page on your website, or maybe you had a call and you have an email, or maybe you just have a unique phone number for them to call off of that ad, help with LSAT, whatever the case might be. And then you can track if you're getting leads from that exercise. So that's one example of a marketing funnel. Another example would be, let's say you, again, I'm bringing examples from different verticals, different sectors, but let's say you have experience and background in plumbing, and you want to have plumbing services, but you want to have it sort of distinguished from others. So maybe you're in a place where folks are, there's a segment of the population that's environmentally conscious, and they like to work or have, let's say, green plumbing services. So again, who is it that I'm targeting? Those who have interest in sustainability and things that are green. And then maybe we can find ways, maybe magazines they read, maybe they go to specific websites that talk about water purification systems in a green way. And then you place an online ad on that website. So again, understanding the audience and then finding where these audiences are, be it a radio station or an online portal, or maybe, again, a magazine, or maybe there is a local meetup or a conference where people, your target audience, homeowners or maybe home builders who are interested in sustainability and in the green economy, then you target them where they're at. So that would be another example of setting up a marketing funnel for that business. A third example, and then we'll pause again. We'll pause for questions. Again, we do have some questions that came in ahead of the live stream. But if you have a question, you're just tuning in, we're talking about marketing funnels. We're talking about how to set up a marketing funnel to get you leads, to get you qualified leads, and then we'll go into the specifics of how you build one for you. So the third example here is, let's say you offer some consulting service. It could be financial services, it could be counseling, it could be you name it. It could be you help business owners get on the speaking circuit and speak at conferences, especially if they have a history of speaking and they write, and maybe they've authored books, or they have a blog in the past, so they have expertise in a specific area. So maybe your consulting services and packages are about helping these business owners get to speak at conferences, or again, whatever consulting might be. So maybe your funnel would be purely online. Maybe you have a website, you have a specific, maybe 2 or 3 packages, or maybe you just sell hourly. And then obviously the website has to be persuasive. And we'll talk about that later next week when we talk about content creation. But your funnel could be the landing page or that website that describes first your why you're an authority on the subject, your credibility, your certifications, whatever is going to help you convince the site visitor that you know what you're talking about. So you want to have that information and a way for you to capture that lead. For example, again, sign up with the newsletter, contact you, set up maybe a free session, a 15-minute call for them to just ask you some questions about how you go about doing your consulting. So you have the landing page, or you have that basic website, professional website, not just basic, and then you find ways to drive traffic. It could be paid ads on Google, it could be paid ads, it could be something you do on Facebook, their ad system as well. So those are different examples on how you would set up, on how founders I speak with have set up their own funnels. So let's pause for a second and see if we have a question or a comment. Ali, thank you so much for joining. I appreciate you listening in. And Ali is in real estate. So I don't know if you can see his name on LinkedIn, but he's an amazing guy. He's one of the most hardworking people I've met. I know he and I spoke a couple of years ago when he's starting his new business. So if you're in the Bay Area, I don't get any commission off of this, by the way. Just helping out someone who is really hardworking and dedicated to his craft. He knows the Bay Area really well, and he's very energetic and put a lot of time. So shout out to Ali here. Thank you for dialing in. Okay, we have a question here. Does channel always refer to an online channel? So you hear, again, if you don't have background in marketing, you hear all these words like ROI and attribution and channels. Like, what are these people talking about? Yeah, channel doesn't, short answer is no. Channel refers to any marketing mechanism to basically convey your message to your target audience. So a newspaper would be an offline channel. Radio, we talked about radio, that would be an offline channel. Putting an ad in a magazine, that would be, again, an offline channel. So going door to door, knocking on doors, flyers, good old, fashion way, guerrilla marketing way. That's all, going to a network event, networking and events. That's all offline channels. Obviously, online channels, paid ads, all of that is also part of the mix. And we'll talk about the different media and different channels actually a little bit later in the live stream. But yeah, any the way the vehicle where your message is conveyed to your target audience is basically that channel. Good question. Let's see if we have another comment. All right. So next is really going back to this concept of you have the universe, and then you really want to focus on your target audience. And the way I'm highlighting this universe, because I hear it a lot from people. I think most of us, when we start a business, we're very ambitious, and it's good. Think positively and think about, I want to conquer the world and I want to build this amazing business. Great. I do want you to think about it broadly. I want you to think about it like, I want to meet as many people as possible. I want to reach out. Yes, I do want to reach out to the universe, but be targeted. So when we say targeting, is if you, I remember this is an old story from a client of ours way back then. They used to sell trampolines, and kids want to buy trampolines, but who's going to decide on the purchase decision? And those were like premium trampolines, $2,000, safety and double layers and all that. It's going to be the parents, it's not going to be the kid. So you're targeting, you're showing the fun aspect of trampolines, but you're really targeting the parents. Safety is going to be very important to parents, right? So I think when we talk about, you really want to be very focused on your target audience, and it might take a few iterations. Some of it is trial and error. You speak with 10 people, you hear from them, and then you might say, you know what, my message resonated with those with this sub segment of the population. So that's one thing to keep in mind. Another thing is, if we go back to the example of the green plumbing or the LSAT tutoring consulting, if in the LSAT example, if you're tutoring, especially if your credentials as well support that, your claim, support your message. If you, let's say you graduated from a tier 1, let's say from Yale Law or from Harvard or Stanford, I'm assuming, I think Stanford is part of the top 10. I'm going to get in trouble with the Stanford folks. But yeah, let's say you're you have those credentials, or you've helped students get into these tier 1 schools. So then your target audience is not just going to be any law pre-law student who wants to get into law school, but if you provide a premium service and you have the track record and the expertise to help people get into these tier 1 schools, then your target audience is even more focused. So that's, same thing, since we have a real estate agent on the call here. If in real estate, if you're targeting maybe higher end houses, that's going to be a different message, different, in your the houses that you show, the message that, the material that you have, the expertise you develop, it's going to be to even a smaller segment of the population. So I think, really focusing in on your target audience, and I think, I forget who said it first, but they talk about riches in the niches. Basically, the more niche down you are, I think the more you can, the better and the easier and the more impactful your message is going to be, because now you're talking to a smaller segment. You understand their pain points really well. You understand what makes them tick. So that's really important. And same thing with the green plumbing services we offered earlier. I spoke about earlier. You're not competing with your average plumber. and they might be amazing. They might have amazing 5-star reviews on Yelp, but you're going to differentiate. Maybe the name of your brand maybe should have a green in it, or maybe the logo, or maybe the technology that you use. All of that has to be part of your message. And then when you go on any of those channels that we will talk about in a little bit, be it radio or magazines or even online ads, then you're conveying those messages through those channels, and you're really connecting with that audience because you're talking to their pain points. Or for example, when we talk about target audiences and understanding who these audiences are, and this could come from trial and error, but it comes from a whole lot of research. And you can start with ChatGPT, and you can go on Google. The best part of research is primary research. Go and speak with potential customers. Go to competitors and see what competitors are who is it that competitors are speaking with, right? So another example in terms of understanding your audience is, if you think of someone that we spoke about in one of the videos about in our sales funnels. Actually, we have the ultimate guide to sales funnels. That's another video. We talked about throughout that video, we talked about home health care for the elderly. And actually, that's something I went through when my dad was with us. And if you think about it, if you are offering that service, home health care for the elderly, your audiences could be, you're thinking maybe, okay, the elderly, those who are getting older and they need help with their, at home. But think about it, it could be also their friends, because their friends might influence that decision. It could be also their siblings. It could be their children, right? So when we're thinking about the marketing funnel, it's really important to understand that audience. And before you get, again, we have the universe. I think we have that on the slide. We have the universe, we have the target audience, and then we have what I call prospects. You can call them leads. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But when you talk about the target audience, think of all the potential audiences, maybe a primary, a secondary, a tertiary audience, right? So maybe the elderly themselves, maybe their siblings, their friends, and maybe their children. Maybe children would be the secondary. Maybe the children would be the primary audience. And then you craft your messages to those to the children, because the needs and the pain points of the parents or the elderly are going to be a little bit different than those of the siblings. There might be some overlap. So it's really important, especially at this top of the funnel, top of the funnel, is to have a clear understanding of the audience or audiences, and then crafting your messages that are very specific to those audiences. Now, as a business owner, it's yourself, you're the VP of sales, you're the VP of marketing, you're the VP of HR. It's you. So when we talk about all this information, and we talk about all these tools and systems and processes, I like to think about it when I'm thinking about marketing for my business, and I was pretty disciplined about this, is I'm going to put on a marketing hat and discuss even it was just with me, or maybe I'm speaking with a consultant or someone who's helping me with marketing. I'm thinking about marketing. When I talk about sales, I plan for sales and sales activities, that's going to be a little bit different and later. So as a business owner, even as you hire maybe your first salesperson or your first marketing person, or you get a contractor or a part-time or a freelancer, think about these systems and processes so you follow them. And then when you hire someone else to help you with these and scale, they follow the same processes. So and that's really important. So you'll experience with a lot of channels. You might luck out and do something that works really for you and get you qualified leads. That's awesome. In my own experience, in a lot of the business we've tried, in a lot of the businesses we've built, we had to try different things. And I think understanding you're not going to be an expert in every one of these areas of the business, but within marketing, you're not going to be a subject matter expert on paid ads and search engine optimization and TV ads and billboard ads. It's just you're not going to be able to do that. It's not, I think, humanly possible to be a subject matter expert on many things. And this is just marketing, right? There are other aspects of the business, but understanding, and that's what helped me in my businesses. That's what I advise founders with, is you have to learn enough about every aspect of the business so you make a more informed decision. So knowing about the channels, and that's what I want to cover next, and I think we have a slide on that. Channels, there are different ways to market, right? So understanding that there's something called, let's say, paid channels, paid media. That's one thing. There's another thing called owned media. There's another thing called shared media. And then there's earned media. Again, you're not going to be an expert in all of these out of this live stream, and that's not my intent. But understanding the different channels, I think it'll help you when you go to hire that marketing agency to get your leads. When they start sending you proposals and throwing in all these buzzwords, you'll know what they're talking about. And then you can quiz them and you can validate their assumptions and validate their claims. So if we think about paid media, think of, you're paying for traffic basically. And the easiest one, I think most everybody knows about now, let's say Google ads or Facebook ads or Amazon ads, you call it. So, or you can do ads, on different platforms. It could be sometimes an industry specific portal that has ads for the target audience. So paid ads is where you go and you set up maybe your keywords, or you look for a specific audience, people who are in this region and people who are interested in X, Y, and Z. And then you give a budget, and then basically the platform, Google or Meta or Amazon, they'll basically drive traffic to your site, to your landing page. So that's paid ads. Again, we will have a full live stream on these in the future. There's a lot of stuff online, good material about the different channels. But I think it's important as a business owner, I want to just touch on this briefly. So you pick one of these or a few of these and try them, make them work for you, and whatever doesn't work, you move on to the next thing. So that's why I'm highlighting these different channels. So paid is one. Owned media is something that you develop yourself. You own it, and obviously you can develop with the help of others. But think of let's say on your website, you produce a weekly blog post, or maybe you produce videos like we do, or maybe you have a newsletter, or maybe you're really active on Instagram, or you're really active on LinkedIn. So those are different ways where you produce the content, and it could be debatable that if you're publishing on LinkedIn, it's not you own. I mean, you own the content, but it's another platform. It's more like shared media. I don't want to go into that debate, but it's content that you are producing. So you own it. It could be art. It could be also. So that's owned. Now shared, again, social media, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube. You're sharing content. You're producing content. You're sharing content with the rest of the world. And then last but not least is earned media. And this is where that's probably one of the most difficult to get exposure from or with, because you are then in earned media, you're, for example, quoted in an article about tutoring. Let's say there's an article, let's say in the Mercury News here locally, or in the LA Times, about a trend for LSAT students. They're struggling, and they talk about LSAT and maybe there are new changes in the application process, and they bring you in as an expert. So in a way, it's a free advertisement. You're quoted on a maybe local TV station, or you're quoted in a newspaper, or maybe you're asked to provide content for a column, let's say in Inc., or maybe again a local magazine. So earned media is where you're quoted, you're actually you're positioned as an expert in your field. So it's an amazing way to get a following, to get exposure. It does require, in my experience and also in my speaking with others, that you have a significant subject matter expertise in an area. So with paid ads, again, looking at these different channels, with paid media, you don't need to have any expertise in, you can just go and bring traffic to your website like right away. I think the fastest way to get traffic to your website is through paid media, right? You pay Google, you pay Facebook, and they send traffic your way. Earned media is maybe something that you can work on, or if you published, if you're an author already, maybe that could be part of your credentials, and you can pitch and maybe write to a newspaper. So those are the 4 different channels. Again, this deserves its own live stream, and we'll maybe do it in the future if there's interest. Let me know in the comments if this is of interest. But I want you to be aware of these, because as you build your own marketing funnel, you have to pick and choose which of these you're going to apply. Again, you might do several ones, but you can't do all of them, and you shouldn't be doing a whole lot of them, a whole lot of marketing campaigns, a whole lot of different things at the same time, in my humble assessment, especially in my humble opinion, especially early on as a business owner, new business owner. So a few things to highlight when we are thinking of building our marketing funnel, right? We talked about the audiences and the messages, and we'll talk about content creation next week, and we'll talk about lead capture and lead nurturing next week. But we talked about the audience, and I gave you some examples. Now I wanted to focus on building your marketing funnel. And the one thing that I want you to think about is like the resources that you have. So do you have no money and a whole lot of time? Do you have a whole lot of money, very little time? Is it a mix? Because some of these media channels we talked about, paid ads is going to require money. Unless you're a nonprofit, Google and Facebook, to their credit, they give free money for nonprofits. I think it's $250 a month. I forgot what it is, but if you're a nonprofit and listening, a lot of these concepts, by the way, apply to nonprofits, because at the end of the day, you have to connect with your donors, those who are interested in your cause, and you have to bring them in and convince them to give their hard-earned dollar, to your cause. But yeah, so paid ads needs money. So if cash is tight, maybe you don't start with paid ads. Although it's very appealing, because again, you can drive traffic very quickly, right? Drive traffic to your business very quickly. So that's one thing. Evaluate how much time you have versus how much money you have, and maybe I would say typically there's a mix. You have a little bit of a budget, and you have some time. The other thing that I want to highlight here, again, these are, I would say, I don't want to call them rules or principles, but these are like my perspective on how you would do this successfully and what has worked for me. Is commit. Once you pick a channel, once you pick a level of effort, you want to go after, let's say, search engine optimization for your website, or maybe you want to commit to publishing daily on LinkedIn, something of value. Commit to this effort fully. It really doesn't help to go set up a paid ad campaign on Google. Okay, let's say $1,000 a month, and you go and pick up a couple of keywords, and you put the ad copy, something that is persuasive, and you kind of set it and forget it. Or as we used to joke, we say, spray and pray, or pray and then spray, one of them. So commit to whatever initiative fully. And then after that commitment, and you try it, and you try different things, and if it's not working, yes, drop it and move to the next channel, the next campaign. But if you're doing social media, and part of your business plan and part of your marketing plan, you want to say post daily, and you want to post quality content and something original, something that you are learning from your prospects, problems you're solving, the things you learned about the industry trends. If you're going to commit to that, commit to it fully. And it's not an easy commitment. I remember in 2022, part of my commitment, and as I was building, I guess, the brand at the time I was really more sharing. I wasn't sure what I wanted to do, but I said, I want to post on LinkedIn daily. And I want to either share useful articles for business owners and comment on them, or just write my own thoughts. It was an effort. I mean, I can go and just share whatever article on LinkedIn easily, but that wouldn't add any value. So if I'm not suggesting you do this, I'm just giving you an example. If your service that you offer is very visual, and let's say we talked about this sustainable lawn mowing services, maybe you can show a lot of pictures on what you're doing, different than maybe other lawn services, right? Lawn mowing services. So committing to this effort and learning about that channel is much more effective on the long run than doing 5 channels, 5 campaigns at the same time and doing a half big job at each one of them. So that's number 2. Try a few, 2-3 different things, 2 different channels, but commit to them, understand how they work. And once you understand how they work, as a business owner, especially when you're just starting, once you get that working, then you can outsource it. You can get an intern, you can get a part-time person, you can find an agency who can do this for you. But now you know how this works. You know how paid ads work. You know that you have to have a convincing, a persuasive landing page. You want to make sure you're targeting the audience, your keywords are set up properly. You know now that firsthand. Then you can provide better guidance to the agency that's helping you, and you can monitor their performance better. So, which is my next point about learning the basics as a business owner. And this is a pro tip. I was speaking with a founder who reached out a couple of weeks ago, and what he was asking about hiring a salesperson or not. I said, and he's an expert in his field. He's a consultant, top of the line. When I spoke with him, I was very impressed, but he hasn't done sales. So he was thinking to bring in a part-time salesperson. My recommendation to him, I said, okay, I gave him some guidance on hiring and what to do. But I said, my recommendation is try sales, learn about sales. Otherwise, like these salespeople who you'll hire, I mean, they might take you on a ride and you'll find out 3 months later that they have no leads, no prospects, nothing to show for the money you're paying them. So my advice here is learn the basics in every aspect of the business. But today we're talking about marketing. So learn the basics of these channels that you're trialing on your own. And once you have it figured out, then you can again outsource or get someone to help you with that. And last but not least, in terms of these are tips, proper tips. These are sort of tips from the trenches. Is as you're figuring this out, make sure you set up every effort you're doing in marketing as a process, as a system. So if I want to know if I'm committing to publishing daily on Instagram, I want to put photos or let's say quotes, or I want to share stories or whatever the case might be, have a system for that. So maybe at the last week of let's say the month, you put a content calendar, basic spreadsheet, and say, here's what I want to cover every week of next month. Week 1 will have this theme. Week 2 will have this other theme. Week 3 will have the third theme. And then, okay, here are the posts I want to talk about. Here's what I want to research. Here's some. So have a system, right? And then maybe have that as a rolling task. Every 2 weeks, you update this. So this way you're ahead of the curve. And in the future, when you get that intern, your nephew, your niece, whoever it might be, or you get someone, you pay them to help you with this, you have a system in place. This will help you scale. So whatever system that you use, make sure you're setting this, whatever channel, whatever campaign you're running, as you're learning from that campaign, as you're learning from that channel, make sure you document, you set this up, whatever you've learned as a system, as a repeatable process. This way you can improve it, you can tweak it, and then next time you can do it better. Because you'll forget, you're a busy business owner, you're running around doing different things, and then 6 months from now, you want to run another paid ad campaign, and now you're forgetting what you did the first time around. So document what you've learned, making sure it's repeatable, maybe have checklists, so that every time you do it better, you do it in an improved way. So these are thoughts around, kind of to bring us back to what we were discussing earlier. We talked about, you have the universe, you have your target audience, you have the different ways to communicate your message to the target audience. And we talked about the 4 different types of channels: the paid channel, the owned channel, the shared channel, and the earned channel. And then we talked about balancing your time and money. We talked about trying a few of these channels and really committing fully to whatever you're doing and learning the basics across the different aspects of the business, and then setting up systems and processes for whatever you're doing, so that then it's repeatable, and then you can improve on. So let me pause here for a second and see if we have any comments from the audience and any questions. All right. How much budget do I need for Google Ads? Well, my favorite answer, the consulting, I guess the DNA runs the consulting DNA runs here. So I don't say it depends, but it really depends. Many factors. And at one point, I was a Google AdWords certified consultant. So I know the system has evolved a lot, but the core concepts are still the same. It's going to depend on the business you're in, because it's an auction-based system, and if there's a whole lot of demand, a lot of people competing for specific keywords, it's going to be more expensive. So the keyword itself, the business you're in, that's going to determine the cost for that click. If you're a personal, you see these billboard ads on personal injury attorneys. When I was doing this many years ago, it was like $35 a click. And I know we worked with a client where the click was like $75 a click. That's really high, and that's crazy. But if you're doing things, and again, there's a whole science and art about keywords, but the business you're in itself, that's going to determine how competitive these keywords are in your business. It could be $1 a click. It could be 50 cents a click. So I don't want to give the impression that everything is very expensive. Also, and there's a way to optimize and get better results from that, but also it depends on your own budget. And actually last night I was speaking with someone who is they just about to publish a book, and they're thinking of a marketing plan for that book. And they were thinking of ads, and they were thinking of doing actually ads on 3 different systems: Amazon, Facebook, and Google. So my recommendation for them, I said, if you have $3,000 to spend on this marketing campaign, I would recommend that you put all of it in one system, especially if you're new to all of this. So why do I make that recommendation? Is because you have a limited time. All of us, we have limited time. So if you have the money spread around 3 systems, you have to monitor 3 systems. That's not efficient. If you have to learn 3 new systems, you have to optimize 3 new systems. You're not going to have enough data to optimize if you're spreading your budget across too many systems. So these are examples of how you think about budgeting for your ads. But I would start small, get some traffic. Again, small is going to be relevant. But let's say you have $1,000. Focus on fewer keywords, fewer ads. Maybe if you offer 3 different services, focus on one of them. Focus the campaign on one service, and learn from that. And once you've seen leads and qualified leads, and nurturing those leads, again, we move closer to sales. Then you can maybe, and you're getting revenue now, and you have some profit. Then you can take some of that and put it back into, expand that campaign. So that would be my recommendation in terms of budgeting, not just actually for Google Ads. And again, we don't favor Google, Meta, they all work, but also any marketing effort. So if you're going to go and work with search engine optimization, you're working with a consultant, or you're learning this on your own. Again, start maybe, instead of going very wide and picking maybe 30 keywords to optimize your website on, maybe focus on one sub theme and work with someone on it. So those would be my recommendations around budgeting, time and money. All right, another question. Thank you. What is the difference between a prospect and a lead? I'm gonna get in trouble with professional salespeople, because there are probably some definitions somewhere. But let me tell you the way I look at it, the way I set up in my companies. A lead is not a customer yet, and is not a stranger. A lead or a prospect, the way I think about it, someone, they've shown interest, they've heard about you, you've connected with them, but they're not a customer yet. So that's a lead or a prospect. My recommendation is, I look at lead, prospect, I use them interchangeably. I recommend whatever system you're using. You could be using HubSpot. So HubSpot, they would use this concept of strangers and prospects and promoters. Use the terminology that the system you chose offers. If you're using the Salesforce Sales Cloud, you're using that service, and they talk about leads and opportunities and the different stages of the opportunities, use that system. Again, you're a business owner, you're setting up, and again, you might be, I know I say a lot if you're starting your business, but you might be listening to this live stream or listening to this video later, and you've been around for a few years and you're still struggling with marketing. Everything I covered today apply to you as well. So I think it's important internally to use one specific terminology and with a specific definition, especially if you have more than one person doing this. Like if it's just you, okay, lead prospect, it doesn't matter. But if you have a marketing person, let's say if you've grown it a little bit, your business has grown and you have a marketing person, you have a salesperson, and then you have obviously maybe your delivery folks. If you, in your mind, a lead means someone who's ready to buy. In the salesperson's mind, a lead is someone that they just spoke with. And then the marketing person, they think of the lead as someone who submitted a form. Then within the company, you're going to have three different understandings of what this person is or this opportunity is. And that will just not be efficient. That will cause all kind of problems. So my recommendation is use the terminology of the system that you're using. And if you don't have any system yet, if you haven't invested in a CRM or lead nurturing, that's okay. We'll talk about that later. Next week, we'll cover that a little bit. And we have some videos actually on MarTech and CRMs, so check out the channel for that. But I think use a specific definition in your mind and say, there's strangers, but as soon as you spoke with someone, let's say at the networking events, you captured their emails, you put it in your CRM or in your spreadsheet. That's maybe your makeshift CRM for now. That's okay, but that's a lead. And then in your mind, and the way I like to think about it, are they qualified or not? So I did a bit of follow-up. I spoke with them about what I offer, my pricing. If they say, yeah, they're showing interest and they want to proceed a little bit further, then they're qualified leads now. And you can check out our sales, the ultimate guide to sales funnels. And we go over those phases, the different phases of nurturing the lead all the way till they close. So use a specific terminology for the specific state or where this lead ad is in your mind. So there again, a lead, then a qualified lead, and then move them maybe later to become a customer when they buy from you. So again, I hope this is not very confusing, but to summarize, I'm saying use the terminology of the system that you're using if you are using a system. If not, define it clearly in your mind. And then when you hire people or you have contractors, make sure everyone is on the same page. Make sure when we say a lead, we know what that means. It means when we have leads and then we have qualified leads, we know what that means internally. Qualified leads meant they have subscribed to our newsletter. We've had one conversation with them. They said yes to follow up with a meeting to do a demo, right? Put those criteria. Again, we talked about, I just mentioned processes and systems. This is part of how that's part of what's going to help you scale. So, and plus you won't be kidding yourself when you are doing even if you're by yourself and it's very clear in your mind what's a lead and what's a qualified lead. I still say in your spreadsheet, label people as such. Label every entry as a lead or a qualified lead, right? Or if you're using the word prospect, that's fine. Some people use suspect and then prospect. Like there's all this stuff you find online, right? So, but back to if you're saying leads, and so leads, qualified leads, and then when you're doing your sales planning and your revenue planning, and you put a percentage, I say, okay, I'll probably close 90% of my qualified leads, and I'll probably close only, 2% of my unqualified leads. That will help you in determining the next steps you take with every one of those leads, and also in terms of your revenue projection. So long answer to a very simple but very important and very short but very important question. And what I'm recommending again is to be very consistent in the way you label these. All right. So a couple of sections here, and then we will be wrapping up for today. So the benefits of a marketing funnel, why to have one? I think the number one thing is that clarity, the way you think about the business. And again, I know business is not linear. I know marketing is not linear. People might read a white paper that you've written 6 months ago, and then they call you, right? So the funnel didn't start from the top. That's not, I'm not talking about the flywheel on the funnel, what's better for your business. What I'm suggesting is, in your own mind, you understand this concept of audience or audiences, of how to message, unique messages, unique value proposition, a unique value proposition to each audience. So having that funnel and that thinking through it will give you clarity. So that's one of the most important benefits of a funnel. Second is also, as you plan your next marketing campaign, you can be more organized in what you communicate. So if I have, let's say, part of my marketing funnel is it that people are signing up for my newsletter, and I have 3 services that I offer. Now, when I want to send my next monthly newsletter or my weekly, I can have 3 versions of my newsletter, one that is custom tailored for each one of those 3 different segments, the 3 different audiences I have. So clarity of the process, you organize your thinking of how and what to communicate to them, and also in terms of the targeted messages, as I said earlier. And I think it will help you, again, even if it's just you for now, it will help you have a better understanding of how leads move from one stage to another. So when you're planning your next networking event, I'm going to a conference, I'm going to attend, I'm going to meet a lot of people, I want to put them in my email system. Now I know from my previous tracking, from my funnel that I set up for my business, when I do a follow-up and I send this white paper, it resonates really well with people. If I've done some market research or some trends in my services in my area, it's resonating well. So understanding, being organized, being clear about the audience and the messages, and how it will help you communicate with this audience, with your audiences much more effectively. And the last section here that I want to talk about a little bit before we wrap up, and see if we have maybe a couple of questions here I think we can take before the end of the call, is the difference between marketing and sales funnels. And we showed that quickly earlier on the slide. I mean, think of marketing funnels. The aim of marketing, again, there are so many different definitions. But what worked for me, what I recommend to founders, is think of marketing funnels is to generate leads. So whatever marketing that I'm doing, whatever channel I'm using, the goal is to generate leads. Now, the sales funnels, in my mind, and the sale process, and the way, even if it's just you, is how do I turn this lead that's now has shown some interest, how is it that I turn them into a customer? So that's a main differentiator, and I think it's important for you to have that in your mind. Like, the steps you take to turn a lead into a customer are different than the steps when you speak with a stranger to bring them in as a lead. So number one thing. The second thing is marketing funnels. They consist of leads interacting with your content. A lot of times, people find us online, they find us on social, or if we have, let's say you're exhibiting at a conference, an industry a conference, excuse me, and people people come to you, so they're interacting with you, with your content, and they're learning a little bit more about you, but it's not that personal, it's not that that intimate, I would say. The sales funnel, you are starting to nurture. There's a direct interaction between you and the lead. So now one person might come and say, well, I sell everything online. Like, I just have my offers, there's no sales involved. Like, my selling is online. So that's fine. If you built your business where you're not involved in the sales process, that works. But in a lot of the examples I mentioned earlier, in a lot of the services type business, people buy from people want to interact with you. So the marketing sort of is a higher touch. The sales funnels or the sales interactions are more intimate, closer, because people buy from people, especially for small business owners. The buyer is going to look you in the eye and they want to feel like they trust you. They want to feel that you're credible. They're you're the one who will be addressing their pain points. So that's really important. So as you're evolving these processes for your business, or if you've been going at it for a while and you're struggling in sales and marketing, I think having that clarity of defining what's marketing, what's sales, what processes work well for marketing, and what processes work well for sales is really important. So that's what I want to cover. What I wanted to cover today. Again, next week we'll talk about content marketing. We'll talk about lead nurturing. I also want to talk next week about measuring all of this. In a previous life, we wrote a book on analytics. Eric and I, and our late co-founder Shiraz, may he rest in peace. Always remember Shiraz. And it was I think we sold 15,000 units of that book. So we know a thing or two about measurement. It is really important as you're spending time, energy, your thoughts, and your money into marketing. I want to make sure you set it up properly and you have a way to measure the performance of this. Let's see if we have a final question here before we wrap up. I have a couple of I have some homework for you, so hang in there if you're still listening. Does the same person in a company normally manage the marketing funnel and the sales funnel? If it's a small business owner, a new business owner, it's going to be you. You're wearing all the hats. As the business grows, as you grows in complexity, grows in scale, you'll hire a marketing person, maybe part-time initially. You'll hire a salesperson, and as you grow, you will have different people responsible for different aspects of the business. And I know there are also online debates on even large companies. Sometimes they have VP of sales and marketing. A lot of the larger companies, they'll have sales separate. You have a CMO, chief marketing officer, and then you have VP of sales or head of sales or head of growth. So I think it's a function of the company size and the resources that you have. But the way you think about it, especially for small businesses, I think you think about it as we said earlier. There are marketing activities, there are things that work really well for marketing, and you want to think about it that way. And there are specific, more intimate, closer, one-on-one level interaction in the sales phases. So initially, it's going to be all you. So you have to learn it all. As you grow, then it'll be more likely will be separate individuals. The important thing is, and this is another pro tip for those of you who are scaling the business, is to make sure people communicate. Trust me, you go from a company of 2-3 people where everybody's talking to each other every day and everybody's on the same page. You go to a company of 10 people, everything that used to work stops working. So as you're growing, as you're scaling, as you're bringing in outside consultants to help you with some of these maybe initiatives, make sure there's a clear channel of communication. You don't want marketing, the person in charge of marketing, to bring in a whole lot of leads and they're measuring this their own way and they're seeing, oh, we spent $5,000 this month and we got you 100 qualified leads. You go to the salesperson who is taking those leads and doing the nurturing and say, all these leads were junk. We got only one that's qualified. There's a huge disconnect here. What marketing thought is qualified lead, what marketing thought are qualified leads, they're junk, with the salesperson. So make sure as you're growing, make sure both departments, both individuals running the different aspects of the business, they communicate and provide feedback. Good question. So as to your actions tonight, this weekend, when you have time, think of the various channels that maybe you've been using. And if you're using a lot of channels and they haven't worked, pick 1 or 2, be it paid ads, be it content you're developing, be it billboards, whatever it is that you're doing, and find the one that has worked better than the other ones and commit fully to it, know it, learn it, measure it. And if you haven't really picked a channel, you're not sure, think what works best for you. Maybe you write very well, so content marketing might be really, really natural to you. Or maybe learn a little bit about paid ads so you can manage a campaign on your own. And a lot of these systems Meta, Google, they provide actually some support. They have a lot of good content. So that's number one, is pick a couple of channels to focus on for the next 2-3 months. And then we talked about audiences a lot. We talked about messages. So start to document what's resonating well with the different audiences, and make sure these messages are really tailored to their respective audience. And last but not least, figure out a way, after all this effort, everything we talked about, how are you going to capture the information, their emails, their phone numbers, right? Learn more about them. We'll talk more about it next week. But for now, think about how you want to capture this, and what is the incentive for this lead who comes to your website or goes on social media for them to follow you or to sign up for your newsletter or to call you. Maybe offer a free session of consulting, maybe offer a white paper, or may offer some industry insight, whatever the case might be. So pick your channels, document your audiences and the messages to them, and then figure out a way to capture those leads. So I hope you find this useful, helpful. Leave us a comment here. I'd love to hear from you. We do have these live streams every Wednesday at 10 a.m. Pacific and 1 p.m. Eastern. We have a form where you can submit your questions ahead of time. And also, we have the Daily Advisor. Please sign up. It is the newsletter dedicated to founders and aspiring founders in the services and consulting space. We put a lot of time and energy to give you insights to help you in every aspect of the business. So subscribe to the channel, leave us a comment, sign up with the Daily Advisor, and let us know how this content is helping your business. I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to share your story, and we'll see you next Wednesday. Have a good one.